Hello and welcome to the Even Me podcast. This is Morph,
And Kim,
and today we'll have a special guest, Sasha. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. How are you guys?
We are great. Thank you for joining us on our podcast today. So today we have a question. Question is, what is the hardest thing you had to overcome in a relationship, whether it be current or in the previous relationship?
So I would say hardest thing to overcome. So this is kind of hard for me, and the reason I'm gonna say that is because I just feel no one is perfect in any relationship.
Right.
So I am that person that believes everything, and I mean everything can be worked out. With communication, understanding, just being truthful about everything and laying everything out and putting everything on the table and just letting them fall where they may. So I believe that's just how I was raised, with my grandparents and parents of, everyone deserves grace. And, with grace, there comes forgiveness. So I would say probably the hardest thing that I might have had to get over, and I might say infidelity maybe, but it really wasn't, because so I was raised, that you are single until you're married. So with that said, it is boyfriend, girlfriend. You're not married. You're not married to that person. So they have full reign to do whatever. I have full reign to do whatever. Just dating. We are not married. There is on your tax return. There is no in a relationship. Dating. No, you're married, single, divorced, widowed, period. So I truly believe in that. That's just how I was raised. So maybe infidelity, but I believe everyone needs grace. I just believe in forgiveness and grace. So
Okay.
there's nothing really that I have to forgive or get over, because I'm just not that person to hold grudges. I don't.
So I see what you're saying. The only
Hmm.
only thing I'm kind of, I really like the answer. I mean,
hmm
dating somebody would be great like that, but
Hmm.
I feel what you do when you're mating or dating,
Hmm.
before, let's say, the wedding could
Hmm.
actually roll into the wedding. And I've seen it, people
And
date for a
I
while, and when the actual relationship, they feel that, okay, she allowed me or he allowed me to do this while we were dating, she's going to be okay with it, which, marriage is, to me, what I feel is just a paper.
so
Yes,
you
it's a
so
it's a certificate that says you guys have vowed to be with each other, but if you're in communication and
correct.
with your significant other, you pretty much vow that when your relationship has gone further than 3 or 4 years, pretty much, because a lot of people don't date past 3 or 4 years unless they're pretty much committed to themselves. So I see what you're saying, but I kind of feel kind of,
Different.
I'm on the fence
Indifferent.
with that
Got it.
because, just because that situation,
And I
could
totally
happen.
agree. I totally agree with you. But marriage is not just a certificate. Marriage is you go before God. You are before God. You make a vow with God. So God enters your marriage when you say I do. So if you are religious or believe in God, you don't believe that marriage is just a certificate.
Well,
And
when
I'm
I
gonna
when I s-
go ahead.
sorry, just sorry to cut you off. When I
No,
say
it's
that, I
okay.
don't mean that it's just a paper, right? Because you pretty much, like, at certain point of time in your relationship, you pretty
Mhm.
much are saying that you vow to be with that person. You've either given them some type of promise ring, an engagement ring or something. But when people say, why are you not married yet? I'm like, because I'm not married, and I've been with my significant other over 10 years. But
So why aren't you married? Why aren't you married? If you've been with someone over 10 years, and marriage isn't for everybody. Let me just say that. It is not for the weak. It's no punk. So, um,
I mean, technically, I'm married. If you think about it, we bought a house together. We have accounts together. We pretty much
but
share everything
you're
together.
not, and
We
I'm
just
going to tell you why you're not married. If you died today, she could not collect your Social Security. She could not collect any death benefits on you because she is not married to you. So
she's
you
she's
may be
she's not a
committed.
beneficiary. She
Say
she
it
may
again.
not, she may not collect Social Security. You're right,
No,
but she
she
will.
won't.
If I die, she will collect on my death.
Well, she may collect if she's your beneficiary.
Yeah,
But
she
if
will.
she's not your beneficiary, it will go to your kids.
Yeah,
So what I'm saying is if you're married, it automatically goes to her. She doesn't have to fight. And I'm not saying fight your kids because you may only have kids with her. If you have outside kids, that could be a problem. What I'm saying is if you're married, there is no guessing. There is no anything to who has the last say so of your burial, who has the last say so of all your personal things when you're married. You're not married, so she does not have the last say so unless you have named her a beneficiary. You put in different techniques to make sure that happens. But when you're married, you don't have to worry about that.
see, now you're gonna make me get married. Now I
No,
gotta deal with this.
no. But
But
what I'm here,
to,
I'm
to
here just to give a different opinion
well,
of
to answer your
thoughts and
question,
things.
I technically was gonna get married, but because of COVID, we
Yes.
had a wedding set in Italy,
Oh,
so
okay.
so
Okay.
that
Well,
kind
you
of
can do something, simple and
that's not gonna happen here.
short. And I understand because I had a huge wedding, and
Yeah,
but it was my husband wanted
my
to have a
fiance
big
is not
wedding.
gonna allow just
See,
a
I
normal
wanted
wedding.
to, I wanted to elope and just elope.
That's what we're gonna do, but just to have like our family, we're gonna
Hmm.
do like the family thing. So that's why I say it's a paper, but it's a paper that I know what you're saying because I've got married at church
Yes,
before, so I've
I've been
been
married
married,
before too, so I
so
totally understand. But that's just these are my beliefs, how I grew up, and I believe that you're growing up, how you grew up plays a big part in your life in how you
that's
do things as an adult.
right.
So I believe in the institution of marriage, and I'm not here to change anyone's opinion. I'm not even here to argue my opinion. I'm just here to state my opinion in what I believe. But when, a lot of people, on social media, oh, a title means nothing, it's a bond until he dies and his family says you can't come to see his body, or
Yeah.
uh, you're in the obituary as his lifelong friend, like you were his pet. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
When
I'm
you
just
when you put in those terms, it sounds different, right? Some I just don't like when people just throw it around. Why
no,
ain't you
and
guys married?
I agree. You don't. Let me just say. So I am from Florida, and I moved here for my job, and I just could not understand. Like when I first got here, everybody, you're not married. You're not married.
Hmm.
What's wrong with you? People, society makes people think something's wrong with them if they're not married. I was divorced. I moved here for my job with my children, and at that time, I mean, that's not the first thing on my mind is to, oh, I got to find a man, or I got to, that wasn't the first thing on my mind. But what I
Right.
am saying is, I met someone, our values, our morals, all of that worked together, and now we're married. But like I said, it doesn't work for everyone, but there is a lot of give and take in a marriage, and to make it work, and but you've been in a relationship for 10 years, so it is a lot of compromising. You
Yes.
have to compromise to make it work. But I am an easygoing person. I'm very easygoing. So I would, to answer your question, I would probably say maybe infidelity, but it's nothing that I caught. It's just a woman's intuition
Yeah.
say, and I am that person. If I don't have a smoking gun,
Yeah.
you know.
If you
And
don't
then
see
I
it for yourself,
use to weigh out
it's
your
it ain't
options
happening.
too.
Yeah.
Weigh out your options. You know,
Yeah.
is this worth the fight? If this is this worth this huge fight, because it's going to be a fight,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's worth it, but that's something that you have to work out too. A lot of things, in like external conflicts or internal conflicts first, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
decide, can you work out your internal conflict before you bring it on the outside?
Yep.
That's
I like
me.
that.
That's
I
me.
like.
It's an internal conflict first.
I haven't heard nothing from Kim. What
I
do you
Oh,
want?
mean,
you
I'm
know,
listening because this is she's my advice that I go to. That's why I was like able to calm down some things that I did, and I like what Sasha just said, that internal conflict. That's what I have to work out within me.
right.
Is that internal, because I don't want to get in a relationship and every little thing I put up a fight for. You know what I'm saying? That's what I have to learn. What's really worth the fight. Now, my respecting me, that's if you can't, I'm learning that right now, that jokes are jokes, yeah, but after a while they keep coming and you keep seeing stuff. Now, okay, I see that this is going another way. So this is internal with me, what I don't like. And if you can't
Mhm.
respect that, then step on, because somebody else will. Because I talked to both of y'all. Uh uh what do you say, turn it down? But both of y'all this week, what is it, this week? Yeah, both of y'all. I had to have the talk with both of y'all, and it definitely helped me like see some things that I allow to help happen, because the internal conflict with myself, I haven't worked out totally. So I'm gonna
Mhm.
keep running into the same issue and the same, how I said today to somebody at work, the same broken duck. It'd be two ducks waddling around. It'd be a perfectly fine duck, all perfectly fine, nothing wrong with him. But I go to the duck with the broken beak and the leg, he's sliding it and dragging it, and I'm like, "Oh, come on, duck, you hurt? I can take it on you and fix you." Forgetting he got teeth, and then he ended up biting me. I always choose the duck with the broken beak, always. So that's something I got to work out internally with myself. But I like that. I mean, if you have to be really a strong person if you can forgive for infidelity, really strong, because
I
we.
like I like what
Mhm,
Sasha said.
mhm.
Is it a fight worth fighting for?
Yeah.
Is it if it's something small or minute that you
Mhm,
can both get over and I think move past it, because what
mhm.
happens is sometimes you can forgive somebody but you can't move past it, and
Yeah.
that person keeps digging into it. You did this, this
Yeah.
happened, or I remember when you did this, and they just keep going back to that, living in the
Right.
past, and what happens is
Mhm,
that weighs on your relationship. And what
mhm,
happens with that relationship is it just continues to deteriorate to the point where neither one of you are going to want to fight for it anymore, because
mhm,
it's a dig. It's you did this, and it may be months down the line. It could be weeks down the line, and it's just the constant breakdown will end up just wearing you down, and you're like, the
Right.
hell with this relationship. It's
mhm,
it's way too much, because if it's not worth fighting for, then don't fight for it, because like
mhm.
you said, it's a wounded duck. The duck is still moving, but it's still looking back at you and throwing digs at you, because
Mhm,
that's what they do. If they live in the past and they can't forgive,
mhm.
people forgive but they don't forget. Just remember
Yeah.
that. But
Mhm.
100%, I've been in a relationship where they can't, they forgive me, we got back together, but
Mhm,
it was constant, the same thing, like a
mhm,
broken record, just the same thing over and over. If you're
mhm,
going to forgive, you need to forget it. and,
And
and
move
if it's
on.
that fight you're fighting, just move on. Just
Yeah.
don't look
Mhm.
past it. It's going to be in your head from time to time. It's gonna ache you and hurt you, but guess what? If you moved
Yeah.
on, they're going to move on. They're going to act like none happened. You guys can just you know reconciliate and just move on.
Right.
Yeah. And see, my problem was we moved on, forgave, but you do it again. Moved on,
Yeah,
forgave, you
yeah.
did it
That's the
again.
other. That's the other
And
thing. If
I'm
they
like,
keep continue to do it,
and then
yeah,
they'll go, you keep bringing up this. Well, you keep doing the shit. Like, what more can I do? I mean, I forgave you, and it was hard. And I, in the back of my mind, like, what is he doing when, he leaves me? But then I catch you again. It's just the last time you just got good at it, and I guess I accepted it because I wanted to continue that relationship. Because, like Sasha said, how society make it seem that something wrong with you if you're not married or you're not with
You
with your
know, yeah,
kid father. And I lived that for years because I mean, like I had, I made up stuff because it made on Facebook everything looked like it was perfectly fine.
you know.
It did. I put in, my husband, I'm loving him today, and get right off of social
Instagram
media.
is smoke and mirrors, pretty much.
Yeah,
Pretty
that's it.
much.
That's what it was. And right as soon as I get off social media, we arguing about the craziest little thing, or we both sleeping in the bed on the same bed with separate blankets. Crazy. It's like, so I'm like, if I keep talking about something, that's because you keep doing it. If we cross that bridge, let's get over it. And you have to be mindful. Hey, I know this person don't like this, or I did this. I'm gonna try to not to do that again. Let me
right.
watch what I do or say. And people want to throw it, like Anthony we was talking earlier. They want to flip it and put it on you
Yeah.
each time. And I'm the one that just take it. Come on, put all the blame on me. It's me. It's me. But
Yeah,
nope.
that's because they feel a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
especially males. I've seen it, where, of course, you made them feel a certain way, so of course they're gonna flip it back on you, and
Mm-hmm.
make you feel guilty for basically what they did. If he's the cause of it, then just take it and move on.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't want to be in the relationship, just move on.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
brings me to question number 2. What did you do to overcome it? So I know you kind of explained, Sasha,
Mhm.
what you've done, but go ahead and tell us again.
So you just communicate it, you talk about it. But to me, you really have to make your feelings be known,
Yes.
how you feel about it. And I don't like it. It makes me feel like this, and you have to set some guidelines, some boundaries.
Yeah.
Hey, if it makes me feel, I don't like to feel like this. So,
Mhm.
if I tell you, this is one of my golden rules that I live by, and this is at work, with my children, with my husband, just with my family. If I tell you I have a problem, or something bothers me, or I'm concerned about it, and you don't actively change your behavior,
Mhm.
and it bothers me, you one just don't care. It's
Yes.
just don't care. You're gonna do it. You don't care how I feel,
Mhm.
or it doesn't work. This is not where I need to be anymore. It does not work. And if the same way, if my children, my husband, my family has an issue with me, I do something, I'm gonna actively change it, or try to change it, because I am, my family tells me I'm nonchalant. I am nonchalant. I listen to what you have to say, and I'm just like, okay. How I'm listening, I'm actively listening. I may not be reacting, but I'm actively listening. To
Yeah.
them, it's I'm being nonchalant. I'm just like, okay, whatever. But a lot of stuff, I tell them, I'm not sure if you want me to react, or you're telling me
Mhm.
because I want to listen. I want to make sure I'm listening and I understand. So I always, and then I repeat everything you say back to me.
Mhm.
But oh my God, now that's one thing. My husband, oh, he hates when I repeat it back. But I'm just making sure that
But do
I,
you repeat it back normal, or you repeat it back kind of sarcastically? Because that's what makes a difference. Because
that probably is it. It probably is, but I'm just really making sure, because you know how sometimes you can say something, but that's not what you meant, but that's how I perceived it, or
Yeah.
how I internalized it. So therefore, I want to make sure that I'm not understanding it a totally different way, and that's not what you mean. So once I told him, listen, I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not being rude. I'm not being, I call it snarky when you're
Yeah.
trying to be slick and sly and, throw digs. I'm not. I'm just making sure that I understood exactly what you said. So once he understood that about me, he waits now. He'll say it and he waits because he knows I'm gonna repeat it and ask him a question about it. But I just want to make sure that I'm understanding what you said because I want to make sure we're always on the same page. Um, so my family, I'll repeat it again and say it. But once people understand that about you have a reasoning of why you do it. Okay, now I understand it, and okay, it's not a big deal now. But I think a lot of it is communication and understanding. You have to understand your partner, their needs, and I'm a big person of the 5 love languages because the way I perceive love is not the same way you may perceive love. So you have to understand how that person receives love because it's totally different from how you receive love. So you have to understand that as well. And that is one of the how to get over things too, because you may be feeling like you're showing that person love, but that's not the way that they perceive love. So they feel like you don't care.
Yeah.
But you do care, but you're just showing what love the way that you like to receive love. You have to show love the way they receive love. So that's one of the way to get over it too, is understanding. You have to understand their patterns of behavior or why they did something and communicate it, understand it, and go from there. And like I say, grace. You have to give people grace and forgiveness. And the reason I say that is because God forgives us daily for our sins. He forgives us daily, sometimes hourly, depending on what it is. I'm just saying. So we have to extend the same grace. We have to extend the same grace. And I am learning that, still learning it through my old age. But I grew up as the golden child. Everyone in my family will tell you I am that person that, my grandparents, my parents, everyone, like, she's going to be somebody. And that is me. Like my husband says, you don't think you do anything wrong. And he's absolutely right because I don't. No, I'm just but that's and that, like I said, how you grow up reflects how you are in the world. So I do have kind of like a superiority, complex. Me, I never
So
do.
sassy Sasha.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, but it's just to me understanding, giving grace and forgiveness, and once you understand that person, I'm very observant too. I pay attention to some things you say and the things you don't say. So I'm very observant that way as well. So I can kind of pick up on things before it even, like I can pick up on stuff from my, like, he'll say, how did you know that? Oh, what do you mean by that? He's like, wow, you, but it's because I pay attention. You can tell, when he calls me, I can tell in his voice, what's wrong? Nothing. You're tired. You don't feel good. What's wrong? But you can kind of sense it, once you understand and you're with that person. It feels like 1,200 years, but not 1,200. But
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
What about you, Kim?
For me, I think it's about, like Sasha said, talking. Because I'm the type of person, and I'm learning, because I'll take it and I'll analyze it, and then I'll be like, it's me that's the problem, because I allow people to say that, and I don't get over. I'm the type, I'm starting to give people grace, but I think I give people too much grace, right? Not to know when to shut stuff out, and then I want to talk about it, but they don't want to talk about it. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm the one going crazy. Is it worth me talking to them about it, or is it worth me just shutting down and never saying anything to that person or them again? Yeah, I run away from relationships. I have left relationships before in the past because it was just a misunderstanding. So I'm that way. Like,
Mm.
oh, it's a misunderstanding. We breaking up, and I gonna leave.
And you're right.
Wait.
Yes.
Y- Yeah.
Okay, Morris.
I mean, with my situation, I don't want to say I ran away from it,
Mhm.
but towards the end, I knew we were pretty much going our separate ways. You know, the last 6 months, when I was married before, we pretty much separated.
Mhm.
I can tell the way it was going, from the love life to communication to um, her basically just, I don't, not caring for herself. You can
Mhm.
tell when someone doesn't really care because, stuff is happening, and you
Mhm.
try to help them, basically pump the head up. Hey, this, maybe you shouldn't wear the same five outfits every week or
Mhm.
something, just, not to bring them down, but to tell them,
Right.
hey, you need
Mhm.
something else, spice it
So
up.
I just have a quick question, Morph. Do
Mhm.
you think? Do you think she was going into like a depression, like depressed state, or?
Well, she went through a lot at that point. She hadn't been diagnosed with cancer, but her mom was, and her mom had just passed away.
Oh, so yeah.
But before that, we kind of moved with the parents to kind of be closer, have our kids closer to her, and for us to be in the same house, for just because she was going through chemo and everything. But she was going down, and I kind of told her, and I was there for her, and I kind of told Kim this before, I actually, when we moved out, you know, we got our house back because I rented it out for like 2 years. We lived out in the
Okay,
country for two
got it.
years with her parents until she passed away. Her mom passed away, and I was like, okay, let's start all over. Let me get our house back. We'll get the renters out. We'll
Mm-hmm.
take our house, fix it back up. I took like 5 or 6 grand out of my 401k, fixed it back up because they messed it up, in those 2 years.
Right.
And we started all over, but there was always, digs, old digs, oh, this person, you work with this person because the the person I'm dating now, I knew her for many years, but we
Okay.
never talked, we never flirted,
You were
nothing
friends.
like that, right? So,
Hmm.
but when I decided, call it quits, I got my own apartment, then we started talking,
Okay.
but those digs were still there, her talking about, this person and you still talking to this person. So I just left it alone, right? So my thing was I left her so I can get out of that situation, and I got my own apartment, stayed on my own for some months, and then it just happened. Like we started like talking, since we worked together.
No.
We didn't work in the same department. I really didn't see it every day, but we worked together pretty much. And then, as time went on, I don't know how much of this is 100% true, but I was told that most likely the reason why I didn't leave her until her mom passed away because her mom did voodoo on me. Yeah. So I mean, and the reason I believe this is because I know the mom would always do voodoo on the husband to find out stuff,
Wow.
Oh my
and
God. See, that would
her
scare me. I
and
would
her
have been out of there. That scares me.
Oof.
sister did it on her husband.
Oh my
Cut the
God.
hair and stuff. So I mean,
So let me ask you this. Did so when the mom died,
mhm.
you redid the house and different things. Going back, and I know it's been a while, but going back, do you feel like a weight was lifted or
For the years that we were together, even though I felt like we needed to separate, I felt like I couldn't, like I never did. And I always blamed it, because her mom was great. She was a great person. She was loving. She was always there for the kids. But I just felt like I had this connection with her, and I wouldn't leave.
Mhm.
My wife at the time because of it.
Mhm.
So I stayed together, but I knew I overstayed my welcome because once she passed away, it was like I felt like, okay, I can leave now. It's weird. Like I've
Wow.
really never really told many people this story. So
Right.
it's just so
So you
weird that
felt
when
like
it was
okay,
like,
like
yeah,
a
it was like,
hold was on you, and you
yeah.
felt okay. It's okay now. Oh, wow.
And it's funny because a lot of people is like, her mom just passed away. Why would you leave her? Right? Her
Right.
mom just died from cancer. Why would you leave her?
But you
And
didn't leave right away, right? Because you guys moved back in your old home.
well, it was we were still going back and forth. Like at that point, like we kind of moved back,
Oh, okay.
but we were still going, like we were still picking up the kids like where they live. So
Oh,
it
okay.
was like a 40-minute drive away.
Got it. So you're
So
there.
I
Okay.
mean,
Okay.
but when I left, it I think 6 months or so, she was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Um,
So we kind of got back together
oh, right. Got it.
at that point, and I told Kim this as well. I actually took off of work like almost 2 months to take care of her because they did a
Mhm.
mastectomy and you had all these tubes. So I took care of her, but in my mind, I just knew that I was almost in my mind, I was feeling like I was doing it, to help her because she's the mother of my kids.
Right.
But I don't think the love was fully there,
Got it.
because I kind of felt a certain way because we were together for so many years.
Got it.
We're almost like high school sweethearts at the time.
Mhm.
But like I said, once I left, and that's the way I overcame it is once her mom passed away, like I felt like relief and I moved. I just moved on, but we still were back and forth for many years, even though I still feel like we're not compatible because, she was still looking into the past where you've been with somebody, you've been in bed with somebody or something. You left me when I needed you, and as soon as my mom passed away, you were gone. And I never had the heart to tell her, what I felt because I
Got
knew her mom probably did something, but I loved her so much that I didn't
it.
want,
Mhm.
to make her mom look bad. But I knew that she was always dealing with, black magic and stuff like that. So,
Wow.
but it was weird.
Man, and you know what? To say a weight be lifted when you finally, I think after my son passed, and I remember the words my son said like prior to this is 2 weeks before he passed. He said, "Mom, you with that dude? You got it. What are you with him for? What are you still with him for, Mom? You got it. Take care of you and my little brother and sister and leave him. You don't need him." And then I guess when it was our son's birthday and we went to San Antonio without him. That's the first time we ever did anything. He didn't say happy birthday to his son, nothing. So it was like there was no more fight. Like when I came home, there was nothing. It was like what my son said was like it's resonating, and yeah, I can. And then 2 weeks later, right at 2 weeks later, he was murdered. But I never wanted to go back. I never had the feeling to want to be there with him or wanted to, hey, what you doing? Let's try to make it work. Let's have a conversation. I did not. It was just like I think I was in it for superficial reasons, to make it look good, like I was in a relationship. This is what society says that I have to be, let me do the right thing. And I suffered. I suffered through that. And I'm like, man, I think when, I it wasn't looking for him because I was done with that and figured it out. But then I end up, trying to run from all the stuff that happened, end up getting with this other person. And oh my God, it was just all over the place. So then, you said, okay, I stepped back and said, okay, you know what? Each relationship you got with this person because of what? It wasn't trying to find out about that person, getting to know that person, really understanding that person and what type of person this real person is. It was always behind sex. Oh, they gave me some good sex. We need to be in a relationship. Biggest mistake I ever made in my life. It was twice. The biggest mistake. And it didn't, sex didn't make the relationship. So, but it was a weight lifted when I left. It was just like I can breathe, you know. Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So, any more questions, Kim or
Well,
Sasha?
she definitely answered the question that how do you know what's worth the fight? She answered that. I didn't even have to ask that because I was like, when I get into my other relationship, and Sasha is somebody I look up to because when she met me, we were sitting under the dryer at the
Hmm.
beautician, and
Yes.
she was like, "Girl, don't you?" I was dealing with this other dude, and she was like, "Don't you let no dude tell you this. Don't you let no dude hinder you. Leave that dude." And she didn't even know me. And I was like, she's like, put my number in your phone.
Yeah.
Go ahead and
Yeah.
get this
I'm like,
podcast started. Yeah, and she was so ever since then it's been serious. So yeah, she answered that, and she has always been answering it. What's worth the fight? My peace is not worth the fight. I figured it now, and that's
right.
one thing she told me this week. It's not worth it. Let's leave it alone.
We,
So
we
what
definitely
is it?
we definitely got to have Sasha back at least for
I
another
love her. Yes.
segment.
I would love to come back and thank you. It's been a great experience. I didn't know what to expect, but I enjoyed myself. I really did. And
Yeah.
I enjoyed you, Morph. I enjoyed you, Kim. And I
Yeah.
really appreciate the opportunity to come and express my opinions because I when I say that to people, you're single until you're married. I'm not. I get men and women like, is she serious? And they'll talk to my husband. Is she serious? He's like, she's serious. Like that is how we. That it just it. What it does is it kind of filters out a lot of unnecessary drama,
Yep.
Yes.
conversation. It filters out a lot,
Mhm.
when you do that. And it also kind of, I feel it just puts everybody at ease. I mean, you're
Yeah.
not so uptight. You're not just,
Yeah.
I think new relationships are very uptight at first.
Yeah.
Like I say, you
Yeah.
only meet the representative. You haven't met the real person yet.